keep your eyes on that Blitzcrank hook. Where is he going to go? The knockup now comes through. Flawless CC layering. Rowan now getting aggressive. Press Cowie now following up. The one strong point for Rogue starting to fall apart, but he's still healing. He's still standing strong. Q3 comes through and he gets taken down. Larson with the gold card. Supa now immediately going to cleanse. Rowan going to keep him going forward. The turret locking down. Tristiana doing so much damage. The Carzzy in the back line. Supa coming in just in time.
Welcome back to the LEC. I'm standing here with the victorious Supa after a pretty convincing victory, I want to say. How does it feel to get the third win on the board?
I'm pretty happy, not gonna lie, because we come from 2 losses that were hard for us because I believe we could get it, but we didn't play well into BDS, we didn't finish good into G2, so it's good to do well the things again.
Before I ask you anything else related to the game or however it is, I want to ask you about the LEC experience. You know, you turned so many heads at EMEA Masters last year, and everyone was like, oh, Supa in LEC, Supa in LEC, this guy's insane, he's Jinx, he's Aphelios, he's hyper carries. But how has it been for you on that transition from the ERLs to the big stage?
I thought it will be harder, not gonna lie, but after the first week of screaming, this come more natural, you are up to playing to better people, you enjoy more, the game become more interesting, so I really love it. And the experience in the studio, I will say, is insane, amazing, because day by day with the fans, 1v1, you see the enemy, you see his face and you say, I want to destroy him.
Is that what you have thought?
Yes.
For who specifically?
Everyone.
Every single AD carry you want to destroy, that's very respectable. Now, for coming down to the studio and having all these fans, of course today, it's a Monday, you know, it's a work day, maybe they couldn't make it, but you have said that there were 30, 40 fans in the studio that were cheering for you guys consecutively for a lot of days. And I asked you if it compares to the Montpellier atmosphere in the EMEA Masters finals last year.
I think we never feel, I mean, this player, maybe Eljoya different, but the rest, we didn't get the fans cheering for us that much, so it's a beautiful moment when you kill someone, people shouting, you get so motivated. And in Montpellier it's different, but when you hear people shut up in the stadium, it's an amazing moment as well.
So close to that reverse sweep, Supa, but you did make it to the LEC, and that is all that matters, and you're doing amazingly well. Now, can I ask you, who do you think from your team deserves to get Key Player of the Game?
I think we played good, everyone. I think everyone play as a team, play for the win condition, but if I need to choose someone, I will say Alvaro. I think he did pretty well, he was on point, he was confident, so this comp works a lot through here, and he played really well.
Love that you're crediting your support a lot. Do you think you played well?
Me?
Yeah?
I think I played a good game.
You played so damn well because you are the Key Player of the Game, Supa. Now, of course, we talked a little bit about your transition from the ERLs to the LEC. You have gotten these 3 wins under your belt, must feel quite confident. How is the pressure when people build you up to be that next AD carry and actually join the league and playing against all the greats?
I mean, I will say the pressure was not that much, at least I feel like this. I think I never feel more pressure than I pressure myself or my coach pressure me, so it's not different, I will say. So when you start knowing how to understand yourself, how to manage that emotion and transform the scare or fear into confidence, you become a really better player.
And is that what you're working on right now?
Yes.
And it shows day by day from your gameplay. Now, I want to ask you one last cheeky question. Who is your #1 competition in the LEC?
I mean, you are talking about team or player?
Player.
I will say Hansama.
Okay.
I think when we play into G2 bot lane in general, I have a lot of fun compared to the rest because I think they're one level ahead of the rest.
Okay, maybe you do hopefully make it into the playoffs then, so you can have your chance to, as you quoted, destroy Hansama next time you play him on the Rift. Supa, thank you very much for joining me for this interview. We're gonna go straight onto the telestrator where Guldborg and Trymbi are standing by.
Thank you very much, Trouble. Now, G2 has been complimented a lot for their mid-game recently. Not so much for the early game, but the mid-game has been looking stellar. And Trymbi, you specifically wanted to take a look at some of their macro plays. So let's try and break it down in this full map view state that we have here. What's the first thing that we need to pay attention to?
Yeah, the first basic thing is the mid wave. That's where Hansama is. You want to play through him. So basically Mikyx will be around there so that he doesn't get ganked while pushing the lane. Right? When you go, second thing is the fact that Mikyx, when he realizes that Hansama doesn't need him, he goes instantly to caps so he can push out the wave on top, gives him the ward exactly where, right? It gives him the safety, but he cannot go further. They would like to go, but Lilia's taking camps. And that's where the third point comes. Yike comes up to the top side. He takes one more camp just to be as efficient as possible. And right after, Hansama can push the mid wave, go top side, while Yike also goes there. And Mikyx there can fight aggressively. As you can see, they're pushing away the perks, so he cannot contest the wave and they can play on that wave. They're putting Herald right instantly, and at the same time, Broken Blade push out the bot wave. And as you can see, he's already in base, which means that he's ready to TP with all the gold spent that he just acquired from that bot wave, right? So he's he's stronger than Poppy, right? Gold-wise, at least. So they decide that they want to go for the tier 2, right? Perks is chunked, it looks like a perfect angle. And even though K'Sante was going to go mid, when they see TP, they instantly TP back, TP as well. And even though they lost the first kill, right? Like the Caps died, because I would say Brown played quite well. They won the teamfight just because I wouldn't say the setup play, you know, mattered as much when it comes to teamfight, but the fact that they set it up all of this just before that teamfight that didn't go that well, but at the end of the day they won because they were ahead, you know. It just shows how much planning they did beforehand that people wouldn't really see it at first, you know?
It's kind of like setting yourself up for multiple possibilities, because even if the fight didn't break out, well, you still had 4 versus 4 up there, you still had the TP available, and you had the opportunity to push in on that tier 2 as well. Well, we're in a second game, or second play, rather, in the same game still, and a little bit later into the game, we're still in an open map state here. What's really happening? What are we paying attention to, Trymbi?
Yeah, we contested again the mid wave, right? And Mikyx starts to get the vision. It's the first one, right? Like the first line of vision, we call it, right? So he has to contest it. Hansama is around. They don't need Lilia. Lilia is just taking camps, right? The jungler needs the gold, so he takes them, right? Then Hansama goes to the mid wave. Mikyx goes a little bit too early, which I would say makes sense in this situation, because even though he dies in this specific clip, it doesn't matter because of the gold they acquired from previous plays when it comes to macro in the mid game. So even though, right, he gets caught technically, he gives his team a fight that they just stomp, right? There is nothing enemies can do outside of killing a Nautilus that will give you 300 gold at best, which I wouldn't say is that beneficial when you lose the Nashor and the mid tier 2 tower after that.
Yeah, I mean, that was absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much, Trymbi. Let's see if G2 can replicate the same mid game ahead of their match against Vitality. Dagda, Drakos, take it away, please.
Daglas, I'm 18 years old and I'm from Poland. I think my first account was like around season 4. I decided to go pro 2 years ago when I reached Halo on New West. Right now, there is a lot of new things in League. I'm like very adaptive player, but I prefer the aggressive playstyle. My favorite champions are Vetheo and right now probably Briar. I want to play against Jankos because he's LEC veteran. And he's also Polish, so I need to prove myself that I want to be the best Polish jungler. And I'm looking forward to face G2 Yike. I used to play against him in New Masters, and he won against me, so I want my revenge.
Will Daglas get his revenge? That is the question on our minds today. I think a bit of a tall task. If you missed it yesterday, Vitality did win their game, but it's been quoted by many as the worst game of the season. I cast it. I thought it was a banger. It was super fun. But I can't lie, Rob. It was a hot mess.
There was some mistakes.
Hey, don't say some. Some is not a general. There were a lot of mistakes. It was a messy game. And ultimately, the dub is what matters when you're racing for top 8, when you're just trying to secure playoffs. But when we talk about, inspiring confidence in this Vitality lineup, that might not have been the game for it.
Exactly. It wasn't exactly the cleanest of closeouts, but I do think, if you want to try and cherry pick some moments, I think Vetheo looked decent on the Ahri as well, had some great charms throughout that game. There are definitely takeaways you can go, okay, hey, we've got the mechanics, we've got the plays, it's just about trying to clean up a lot of what goes around it. But I'm excited to see now what they can do here against G2, because it's not like G2 have been sunshines and rainbows for the entirety of this split. It has been a very messy early game for them across multiple different games. And it's kind of been a case of, can we bring it back in the mid game? Now, with the way Vitality played, might be a little bit easier, but it still gives you that window of opportunity.
And while we did hear from Guldborg and Trymbi kind of highlighting how well G2 played the macro game, I think they were kind of set up for success and in control for the vast majority of that game. When you look back to the MDK game, they actually fell behind early. They were pushed a lot more. And so I want to see what Vitality are actually going to be able to do against G2 early game, because to me, the Team Heretics game yesterday, it felt over very early on. It was just that the way that G2 were playing wasn't explosive. It wasn't building these massive leads that would allow you to close it out quickly. They were just choking them out very systematically.
Yeah, and that's kind of the way G2 have opted into playing, it feels like a lot of the times. Even in games where they're behind, it's a case of, hey, how can we try and play at the map state to help us? Whether it's, hey, Caps is going to push out side lanes for the next 10 minutes as we lose a tower because he'll eventually become very strong in his ear. Or whether we need Yike to try and facilitate that. So Yike will hover behind, say, Broken Blade or Caps were in his side lane to make sure that, they can collect this farm, keep it safe, and not actually fall further behind, but get to a point where they have that break moment. But I think that's where G2 have been strong, but it's left their early game quite vulnerable. And I think in a lot of situations, it's more flubs by their opponents that have given that opportunity to come back rather than this mystical magic that G2 seem to have.
Yeah, the mystical, they're good, but I don't know if we got the mystical magic quite yet. Also, what POW was that on Broken Blade Socks? I don't know.
I don't know what POW was.
Yeah, no, that's crazy.
Yeah, we've only got to level 11 or 12, so maybe it's a higher level one.
Must be. That's crazy. No idea what that one was. We are moments away, of course, from walkouts, from getting into game, from getting into draft. I think that draft has decided a lot in some of these early games, and walkouts have decided how suave these boys will look. G2 getting a little attention here.
Yike was staring into my soul there.
Yeah. I've heard Yike is actually a very intense personality. He's a little shy, he's a little nice in front of the camera, but apparently if you queue up to him against solo queue, you get a very different version.
Okay.
See if we get that version today as coach is coming out, Dylan and Carter, and the camera guys.
Try to kill Carter.
The dynamic trio.
As he takes him out.
Yeah. It's like a little lasso, just trying to hook his foot there.
He refused to be held back, though. That's the confidence I need from him. He didn't even stop or stutter.
So, anyway, why I'm saying draft is important is because Team Heretics picked Jhin yesterday with Braum, and it lost them their bot lane so early, and everything fell apart because G2 had a faster clearing jungler. So I'm hoping that we see a bit more parity here in the draft phase, that no one is caught off guard by any crazy picks, and that if anyone's going to play Lethality Varus, other than Ice in our league, I hope they land their Qs. Please, please, please.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I had a bit of a rant earlier on about how much I hate Jhin. So I'm just going to hope we don't see Jhin. I don't think we will coming into this. I still think that we're starting to see a little bit of a shift where there's more variety, I think, or at least more people getting attuned to the patch and kind of seeing a lot of these picks. Like we've seen Sejuani's and Maokai starting to come through, Milio rising up in priority, Renata being strong. And I think people are starting to realize a lot of the answers to the things that have been incredibly strong. When you look like, I don't know, a Rumble, and maybe we can take something like a Nudier into it and that kind of stuff.
Well, Rumble will be taken off the board. Draven as well. Not quite as frequently permabanned against G2 as it has been in the past. G2 have also been avoiding it. They've only played 2 AD carries so far. The split, Varus and Aphelios for Hans. Less explosive, less lane-dominant choices in terms of their draft priority.
Yeah, I mean, it has netted mixed results. I think for a lot of what we saw from G2 in the beginning was hyper-scaling drafts, where we're going towards Gwens and Jaxes, and we're going to take an Aphelios and hope that we can get to this later game point and team fight or outplay on the map. And then it's kind of becoming a little bit easier for them when they go towards things like the Varus and say, hey, we can actually play around this mid-game a little bit harder. But I do still think for G2, it's about kind of going back to what made them so threatening last year, which was just how dominant they were in the early stages.
Oh, Senna Seraphine. Senna Seraphine. Double support item up and available. Brace yourself.
Yeah.
Into the handshake.
Okay,
it's not the handshake. It's not the handshake, folks. I repeat. We have a double support item situation. Incredibly powerful in the patch, incredibly oppressive. Not unbeatable, but Senna is the crux. Let's see if G2 want to take a Seraphine away. I think it would be a bad choice, but they could try.
Well, don't forget, Carzzy's also a Nilah player, so it could be a Senna Nilah that we could also get in the bottom lane, which would be kind of sick.
Can't see Rob's face right now, but we have a lot of first-hand experience discovering exactly how broken that pairing is. Seraphine, oh man. I'm going to be honest. I think the entire, either G2 have cooked up something special, or this is a very reactionary Seraphine pick, and they're just trying to do what they can to mitigate the threat of this duo.
Yeah, I'm curious to see exactly what the game plan is. I think if you are going to go and put gives this to Caps in the mid lane, you'd need something that's a bit more aggressive in the jungle. Maybe that's why they're eyeing it up now, but could also just be a, hey, we're going to plunk this down into Mikyx, because I don't think a Seraphine is the best when it comes to words working with Vi, but I think you just pivot here. I think you go towards the Nilah. You take an aggressive jungler as well, or sorry, a teamfight jungler as well for yourself here, because you're kind of stuck now with the Seraphine as G2, and I don't really know where you want to go with this.
Yeah, the nice thing about the Seraphine ult is when Vi charges forward, you obviously get to extend the range, and there's the Senna Nilah, Blood Song Nilah. Oh, if you have not experienced this yet, dear audience, count yourself among the blessed, because it is powerful. Now, ideally, in the perfect world for Team Vitality, they would see a melee support on the opposite side. That's where Nilah really gets to start to take over these lanes, but I don't think it's necessary. This duo is so powerful on the patch, you can basically play it into anything. And Seraphine, not threatening. Just not a threatening champion in the bottom lane. Really,
this is a combo that's happened as well. There it is. No! Okay.
Oh no, we've gone too far. Turn it off. Turn the stream off. Don't show solo queue. Oh,
mate, no. I'm not gonna lie. I've seen Sona, Tarik, and solo queue with this combo as well. So I don't know. It feels like the double supports are taking over, and it's gonna be a very long laning phase now.
We got Sona. We got the Sona rework where she can talk. It's coming together for G2 Esports. Okay, folks, I can't lie to you. I can guess how this will work because it'll probably work how it used to work back when it was really OP, and it's really OP again, but we're just going to have to see exactly what Sona Seraphine is going to do. It won't be damage, but it might be make a lot of money.
I wonder what Caps is going to play in the mid lane, though, because you kind of want an AD mid laner, right? Because you bring a lot of AP damage from the bot lane. So is it something like a Yone angle here for Caps in towards the mid lane to try and have... I think you still want something that's a bit more melee oriented as well, because you want things that can benefit from, you know, the Seraphine ultimate passing through you to then let the Sona follow up. So maybe that's the game plan. And especially when you've already got a relatively short range AD carry with Nilah on the opposite side, you have the opportunity to try and look for these big wombo combo ideas.
I also just kind of think you have two enchanters. You probably just want a carry that can deal consistent damage. And Yone is a bit too volatile. Maybe, especially against Nilah who can block a lot of that damage. Maybe it's Tristiana who has a bit more individual safety, can knock the Nilah back. Nilah, a champion who goes from feeling so low powered to so incredibly powerful because of how synergistic her scaling is. But the Yone, a great call. I didn't love it, Rob, but they have locked it in. Is it for Broken Blade or is it for Caps, though? That is the question.
I think it's for Caps, because this level 6 is so obnoxious to deal with, so whatever Vetheo decides to go for, maybe it actually is just something like an Ahri fallback here, but it means you're quite kind of low damage. You got Senna to supplement, but it just means that point-to-click CC from Vi, set up for a Yone ult over the top, and you just try and burst out whoever's in the mid lane. So I definitely think going into this, you want something with a bit of mobility here for Vetheo, but we'll have to see. Maybe something like the Cassiopeia where he thinks he can just throw down the miasma to dissuade any of that engage could be it, but I don't think that's enough.
I also just love this Maokai pick. It's not the flashiest pick in the meta, but it creates so much space, and it's going to make it really difficult for G2 to set up. They don't have a traditional tank to kind of eat that ulti, and Sona and Seraphine really are going to struggle against that one. Corki now coming in as well. A lot of range, a lot of poke. Vitality, to me, have a significantly more stable composition than what we are seeing from the side of G2 Esports right now.
Yeah, I like the Corki because you get that mobility in the mid lane to try and avoid some of this level 6 conundrums that you're going to be put into thanks to G2's comp. But also then you've got, you know, a good amount of poke, you got some range, you got the opportunity to try and split up fights a lot of the time, or with the package as well. But I think the problem is...
Woo!
Wait, okay.
Both right. I said Trist, you said Yone. We got both. Okay. So wanting to fight back against Corki, get a bit more range, maybe out-trade here in the early game. Two people who are going to benefit a lot from having those enchanters on the team, the Yone and the Tristiana. Very vulnerable team. Mitigated, of course, by the presence of the Seraphine, by the presence of Sona. They can still absolutely get one shot. But this is going to be something new, Dagda. This is the most exciting game this season, and it hasn't even started yet, just based on draft alone.
Yeah, I think the thing is, though, for Vitality, you're missing a lot of consistent damage. I think, like, Corki can bring some, but Nilah, I always think of, hey, I'm going to launch myself in, try and get the ultimate, burst people out when I've got my my Shroud on me, and then try and kill people.
Yeah.
Senna can try and deal some consistent damage as well, but it definitely feels like when it comes to, hey, we have survivability with the shields initially from Seraphine, and then the heals coming through from Seraphine and Sona, the opportunity to look for counter engages. I kind of just prefer G2's composition overall. It feels like they've got good go buttons and better absorption of the initial plays coming through from Vitality.
There's also a world where Maokai and Carzzy get on top of their targets, Neil is able to follow up, and the game is completely unplayable. We're in a situation where I think if either side heavily snowballs, the other team is instantly out of the game. So I really want to see a game where it's close, where it's dead even. What does this look like when we go into later stages? Because the Corki poke is going to be terrifying, but Caps with a pocket Seraphine and Sona is also a terrifying prospect.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting one to say the least. I mean, if G2 can play through Yike on this Vi, level 6 hits, he becomes a menace. I think you've got some great opportunities to look for plays, and especially on this top side. You just leave Hans and Mikyx to their own devices, they'll be fine.
Keep an eye on the level 1s now as we get into game.
30 seconds.
Again, Vitality trailing a little bit behind in terms of game score here. Want to get at least 2 more wins under their belt. 4 isn't the guaranteed point, but is important. Of course, the last Sona support we saw was in LEC Summer 2016 on Yellowstar. Now, I think that in funnel meta, we might have seen a Sona in a different role, but that was a Sona carry. So it's an important distinction there. This is a true support Sona. Kind of. Not really.
Minions have spawned.
I mean, this is just... it just shows how deep down the rabbit hole we've gotten at this stage thanks to double support items.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, we're just watching an episode of Chopped, and one guy's like, oh, well, this is the crazy ingredient. He's like, not crazy enough. I'm going to go crazier. You want... What is he? I was trying to think of a crazy ingredient, but the only thing that came to my head was Guinness, but Guinness is in a lot of things. You're also...
I feel targeted here.
I was going to say, I realized very quickly that this... It wasn't an Irish thing, Rob, I promise.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
All right, Broken Way going to start lane with the stacked Q. It's going to feel pretty good. Won't connect on any minions, though, so it does not matter very much. Carzzy, in many respects, kind of the third Yasuo brother in terms of how his Q functions, so this will be an interesting lane phase to watch. Early on, keep your eyes on Hylissang in those stacks. The more that Senna gets to auto-attack, the more stacks she gets, the faster she scales, and she certainly can outscale. But it is going to be tricky against this duo.
Yeah, I think a huge amount of this is trying to be making sure that Carzzy can try and collect the CS to get back and get his Atlas as soon as possible, because you need that support out of him soon. Otherwise, Senna just gets to a point where she can't really attack well, she's not going to be able to attack or harass the enemy because she needs to keep her stack to use on creeps. So when you end up in a position where the longer you delay that, the less Hilly's able to actually farm creeps, and he's just going to end up in a position where he's finished his Atlas. Carzzy hasn't got the opportunity to stack up his, and he's just getting penalized right, left, and center for every creep he takes.
Yeah, and if you haven't had the pleasure or displeasure of playing against one of these combinations, if it's a Seraphine, she's looking to back around 800 gold. That is enough for the Atlas, as well as a tier, just to really start that stacking. For Nilah, you have a little bit more flexibility. Obviously want to get that itemization early. As you can see, Carzzy stepping up here. Level 3, able to trade much more aggressively, access to the double dashes as well as the Jubilant Veil, which is a bit of magic damage mitigation, and of course, the Jax-esque Counter-Strike dodge.
Keep your eyes on Yike at the moment, though. Already making his way down towards this bottom side, gone for the full clear. And you haven't quite got the wave crash here in the bottom side, so might try and look for something. If Mickey and Hans are able to keep this wave at bay, because they will hit level 3 if they can try and hold this, but no, I think it's just going to crash into Sarah. They can maybe look for the double route here with Hans Sama, but I'm not sure if they want to try and achieve something here.
Yeah. One of the nice things here is that I think G2 are in a position where they could just try to out-greed in terms of scaling. Yes, they're going to be weaker in a lot of these early game all-ins, especially pre-6, but the later we go, the stronger those champs are going to feel. Is Yike and Daglas trading blows here? Yike ultimately able to grab the crab. Daglas now walking bottom side, spotted on vision. We'll just have to walk back to the Krugs there. Hansama and Mickey know that they're under no threat. Had Yike to cover just enough time to make sure that they're safe.
Yeah, so second skull will go to Yike on the top side. Already has pushed for both BB and Caps to make sure he can get that. So already Yike getting off to a nice low start here for himself. But I think it is again going to be more of a focus here from Yike on that top side, especially as his camps are going to be respawning up there. But just trying to get in, get some vision down. But again, I think if you can try and play for a BB, try and play for Caps, these are actually going to be the ones that are doing the majority of your damage in these fights.
Yeah. You see Dagla spending a lot of time to walk up and check the wolf spawn. Won't find Yike. Yike will be able to see him on the ward once he clears the corner. Yike on the reset here. Just gonna grab some bits and pieces. We'll go for, oh, he's debating what he wants to go for here. Thought about the Dorans for a second, ultimately does not go for it, so. Head on the clear for now. We'll probably continue to be that way. Daglas moves some more camps onto the top side. BB using some of the natural sustain of the Yone with that W. Went out in this lane early on. Still a pot available for Photon, though.
It's got to be so frustrating trying to deal with BB's Yone, because every single time he brings it out, it just feels like he just gets so much control on that top side, and then is eventually able to come online. He had some insane ultimates at Worlds as well. Like, it is always a pleasure to watch BB on it, but as a top lane, we're like, oh, cool, I'm going to pick something safe and easy. I'll go for Carzzy. It's just like, no, you're going to have a miserable time in this lane now.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's a lot of lanes where you really want to hit that early back for boots too, or just some extra attack speed. But if Carzzy gets the back, he gets a bunch of armor. So it's kind of this awkward situation where both champions benefit a lot from that early recall. But for now, Broken Blade benefiting a lot more. Don't think he'll get too aggressive here. Happy to just have pressure on the top side as Yike takes down the first scrub. Will look to secure all three on the first spawn. Level 6, nowhere nearby for the bottom laners. But remember, Senna and Nilah extra XP. Whenever Nilah kills a creep, she shares a little bit more. So it is the longsword as well as a support item for Nilah early on. And early level 6 could give them an avenue to attack on the bottom side.
Yeah, I think it's if Vitality can try and make some plays on the bottom side, it'd be absolutely fantastic for them. But with the level 6 going to be hit a little bit quicker for Hylissang because he's staying in the lane, it gives the opportunity to try and cover, say, Photon and Vetheo if GT were trying to make anything happen. So as long as Daglas is able to control this bottom side of the map, you've always got that little bit of an extra helping hand thanks to Dawning Shadow from Hylissang on the rest of the map.
And not a bad lane phase for Hylissang whatsoever. 20 souls already, a little extra range increase. That's 15 additional AD as well. I think 10% crit chance on top of that. So a lot of early stats coming his way, as well as the power of the ultimates. Again, Nilah, obnoxious for so many reasons, but in this context, so obnoxious because of the additional XP she has given over to Hylissang. Is him having level 6 for that early exchange, and Mikyx and Hans both being only level 4, just now ticking to level 5, means it's just, there's nothing they can do.
I am impressed though, because every time we played this combo,
back, apotheosis, extra movement speed, Carzzy now stepping up. Just a positive trade though, didn't really have the follow-up that he needed.
I was about to say every time we play this combo, we're dead at this stage. And I was like, they're being way more patient,
right,
and then
Rob.
immediately Carzzy went
I like
for
that
it.
you made it a we thing, but it's me. I'm the feeder. I'm the problem.
I don't know. I think if you look at my match history, the Senna's not been going so hot for me over the last while.
No, I drag your elo down and make you look good. That's the secret to us playing together. It's an ego boost for you, and I get saved in the laning phase. So
Appreciate that. Thank
yeah.
you. Yeah.
Mikyx and Hansama need no saving the laning phase for now, but I will say that things are going to get harder as Carzzy gets a bit of early itemization. Again, some of the champions in the game that have really disgusting early power spikes, champions like Yone, Yasuo, Nilah amongst them, she gets effectively lifesteal and armor penetration off of crit chance. So when you see just random crit cloak purchase here, understand that that's also 4% armor pen and like 4 to 5% healing off of damage dealt to champions. It's really gross. It's very, very powerful. So if that is going to be a collector first buy, as we expect it to be, you're ready for that power spike. Broken Blade getting frisky there with the soul unbound, but just poking around in the enemy jungle, lays down a little bit of vision and helps Yike secure this blue buff. Caps as well with not really priority, but first move at least.
And I think that's all that you're trying to do here. Again, you're just going to try and keep playing on this top side as Yike. You want to try and be able to support Broken Blade and keeping the pressure up. Even you look at mid lane as well. Nice little CS lead growing for Caps. And it's just because Yike is like, as long as you can keep getting push, lads, we're going to be in a great little spot. So the game going, although it's still bang on even when it looks to go, like this is how G2 want this one to go, because they just have so much scaling with the double supports in the later stages.
I don't, okay, and this is, I'm just going to admit a gap in knowledge here. I don't actually know who scales better in the context of a game like this. It's easy for me to assume it's Tristiana with double support, but Senna's pretty gross as you get later and later into the game. Is going to eventually be able to match a lot of the range the Caps is putting down, and it's going to be definitely still going to require some pretty good execution from either side as we get later into the game.
I do think it's more of a case of like, if you get to a 50-minute game, then Senna's really going to become an issue, right?
Is that what you're, that's what you're, oh, Senna, okay. I was
Senna,
like, are you wishing that upon us,
No.
Rob? The 50-minute game?
No, I don't want that at all. But you're looking at like, Vetheo going to be picked up by Hylissang, right?
Yep.
So he's not going to be going like, there's a much better scaling build, which has like Kraken Slayer and IE and these kind of things. You can go rapid fire, and you actually become a very strong AD carry. But when you're going this lethality style, you're doing a lot of heals and you can deal some damage, but it's just not quite the same as you know, the super late game scaling. And Nilah as well, way more focused on the mid game. So I do think it is more on the side of G2 until we hit much later in the game.
Yeah, the crit build is so expensive on Senna, and any lethality options feels like a much smoother power curve. Because remember, her heal on her Q also scales off lethality. It's like 40 extra healing on 2 lethality items, which does really stack up if you're able to hit multiple people in a fight. And I think that it's an opportunity for Vitality, certainly, with early lethality itemization, with the potential first item spike for Carzzy, to try to blow open the game a little bit, get a little bit of a bigger lead, and try to take control. Good news for them is map's in a state for now, at least, that Daglas is able to walk up and take 1 grub. He needs to take 2. If he takes 2, he denies the big buff. Remember, 5 and 6 is the big break point, but now Yike is here, looking to steal some away. Q in, wants to steal 1 more. Yike gets 1. If he gets the second one, this is so frustrating for Daglas. He just leashes the grubs. Oh, hands over the stacks to the side of G2.
And this is perfect for people like BB and Caps especially as well, where they can actually use that buff pretty effectively, being able to hit the towers. Caps even going to have Yike start to move in towards his mid lane. Vetheo low on mana. Daglas is just waiting off the wings. I don't think they can go for this.
Q out. Is going to hit the Maokai here. Caps just stepping forward. Will grab 1 play, and they should just be able to walk away. Yike doesn't have to overcommit any resources. And I think this lane phase matchup is really tricky for Vetheo. He's forced to go tier in the early game to keep mana up. Mana is what lets him push, whereas Tristiana just pushes E and then auto-attacks the wave and doesn't need to use a lot of resources to get priority in the lane. You can see there Vetheo struggling in terms of mana pool overall, but now at least has the mana immune.
Yeah, we'll be able to TP back into lane, so not going to be too much of an issue. We pick up the wave as well. I'd like to see Vitality now, trying to see if they can push the boat when it comes towards like Dragon in 20 seconds and that. You can already see the vision is starting to be set up by Daglas, but it's a bit hard to try and contest the wave particularly well at the moment, just because you've got the reset coming through from Hilly. But Carzzy should be able to shove the wave, try and get his own reset in very, very quickly, but might be a little bit late to the party if we're just going to immediately rush towards the Dragon as G2.
Yep. G2 going for the hard scaling options here with Archangels. Again, this is standard, but it's obviously not as much immediate power as anything else. Yike opting for the Black Cleaver is solid for a team that's mostly going to rely on the damage output of Caps and Broken Blade as we get into later fights. Don't get me wrong, Sona Seraphine going to be strong, but rarely enough to finish off a fight on their own.
I think Carzzy, rightfully going to get the reset off. I wasn't sure how heavily G2 want to try and commit towards a Dragon contest, because you could kind of look at how much money Carzzy was sitting on. Finishes off the collector there. We'll spot it a little bit late. They know Carzzy isn't in the area. We're thinking about going in, but a little bit late. Vitality get a second Dragon for themselves, and this is where they can start to go, hey, you know, we get 2 items on towards Carzzy. We can have Hilly, who's going to be in a strong spot, and maybe we can look to fight against G2, or at least open up the map where we can maybe overload topside as G2 are trying to focus on Dragons themselves and look for that team fight.
Yeah. Certainly an opportunity to try to force potentially more action in the 2v2 there too, as Collector has been completed. Bloodsong also coming in for Hylissang, 40 stacks in terms of souls. Again, you can see that above Hylissang's picture if you're not familiar with our heads-up display. But G2 quietly, calmly scaling. And their top side quietly, calmly winning. 400 gold lead for BB, 600 gold lead for Yike, 300 for Caps, so feeling pretty good on the top side of the map.
And this is all, again, I want to come up with something different to say, but it is just like, hey, G2 just want to scale. Vitality just want to wait until they pick both their support items. Like, it's not exactly the most exciting of games. And this is kind of what G2's early games have turned into. We even saw it against Heretics as well, where it was just this incredibly slow play until it got to the mid game, and then they found those moments to explode on the map.
Photon stepping up. He needs to make sure that he denies Broken Blade's potential ult out to safety. Can only get to full range if you do not hit a target. He's now going to try to get out. Wants to sack Q3 up. Daglas is just going to go back here, but will get cut down. First blood for the side of Vitality, and the latest first blood of LEC 2024.
Yeah, very, very late, but nicely done by Vitality to get something back. Hilly now will take a little bit of damage. Vi in the area as well. How far do they want to go here?
Oh, Hilly stronger in the 2v2, but with Yike on the way, there's the ulti as well. Mikyx now looking to follow, but Yike's still standing. So much additional sustain. Now Carzzy going to fire back with the Apotheosis Collector on the way, and Carzzy, is he going to go for the flash? Doesn't have the ghost to follow up either. just going to have to be okay with surviving that exchange. Very close to finding the kill onto Yike.
It could have been a very different story if there wasn't that much heal and shield power on the bottom side, but Yike just about able to get himself out of there with the flash as well. Carzzy and Hilly do a nice job to get underneath the tower and force at least a flash response from the Vi.
And take a look at the XP levels. Pretty chill across the board, but you can obviously see that Carzzy and Hylissang are a bit ahead of the G2 bottom lane, as expected in the Nilah matchup. And in the 2v2, they're going to struggle here without jungle intervention. I think in the 3v3, it's maybe a little bit of a different story, but for now, at least, they're much more powerful. Nice pullback from Photon, solo inbound, body blocked by Daglas, and Broken Blade still has the flash up and available. Can make it out to safety. Daglas going to spot that one out, courtesy of the little alien sapling. And it looks like Herald in the sights of Vitality, realizing they have the tools to force these fights and win out. They're trying to speed up the pace of this game.
I think it's the right call. The fact that you have BB already forced back, no ultimate, no flash, means he's just significantly less of a threat in this. We'll just come in here with the unbound soul to spot out that they are on the objective, but I don't think you can contest this G2. You're not in a position to go for it right now.
Hansama and Mikyx gonna double ward there and walk away. They got the information at the very least, 1 minute and 49. So the Dragon is available, so no counter punch. Hylissang does have to be careful, stepping into no man's land here briefly, but Yike has no ultimate, so the tools to punish are not available from the side of G2.
They're trying to split out the map, move Caps out to this bottom side. He's got a little bit more threat when it comes towards the towers. And moving Mickey and Hansama in towards this mid lane means they can try and keep the wave pushed off the tower, but you still have Rift Herald in the back pocket of Daglas. So Carzzy is where he wants to try and move it. Drag in a minute 20. More than likely going to wait to try and use that in the mid lane to force G2 out of the river so they can establish vision and try and avoid any sort of front to back against G2.
I like what we're seeing from Vitality. Need to do more though. 2 dragons. Need to get a lot of value out of this Herald, as you highlighted. Don't give them the opportunity to front to back. Break open the map a little bit more. Breaking down mid lane tier 1 is so crucial to accelerating the game.
Yeah, I think the big win for them here is that BB doesn't have TP. So if you're able to get that pressure towards Photon, you push in mid, move up, try and take top tower, and you can hold on to the or you can even put pressure onto mid tower with the Rift Herald, see if you can take that, then rotate to the top side. Because essentially G2 have to try and fight for this next dragon, whereas you've got a little bit more opportunities for Vitality to try and play out the map space a bit more since you've already got those 2 dragons, and with G2 having control over the river area, I don't think you want to try and contest into G2 like this.
Yeah, definitely a difficult proposition. Mikyx has now picked up the Staff of Flowing Water, so that much more AP and movement speed. It was transitioned out of ability haste and into movement speed. It's also a flat value, so the earlier you buy it, the better.
Here's the play. You can see BB already moving down, trying to cover mid lane. Knows that he doesn't have the TP. Hilly, not going to get caught out by that. Now G2 moving over, but actually I don't like this from Photon. He's gone for the reset. I think he should have just gone for tower instead. Just tried to take it.
Vitality clearly want to go for dragons here. Of course, the idea of playing against Sona and Seraphine with a Ocean Soul is a terrifying prospect. Vitality looking to lock it down for themselves as G2 get ready for the ARAM, folks. We're gearing up. We're fighting for mid-prio here. Vitality first access to the pit. 5v5 Thunderdome. Which double support abusers are stronger? Find out now on LEC. Ulti gonna go a little bit wide there. Cap's now jumping in as well. That's a lot of resources burned for absolutely nothing. Nice unstoppable comes in from Photon. Not able to get anything else. Slow fight, much better for G2. Keep your eyes on the ulti cooldown for Carzzy. It is up and available. Might be the tool that they need to kick this fight off. Yike over the wall. Not going to be able to steal it now, instantly backing off. Daglas throwing down the ultimate. Caps might just find himself in trouble. Photon continuing to step forward. That's going to be 1 kill. Seraphine really not going to connect. Pasios is on 2. The Sona and the Seraphine now set to fall. 1 kill coming out. Hansama will make it out to safety. Fate sealed. It might just be the fate of G2 as Broken Blade barely manages to escape.
Both support ultimates completely whiffed from G2. Means that Vitality are able to chase them down. Now they get the dragon. They're going to get charged on mid as well. And what could have been a fight for G2 completely falls apart on them.
Tricky exchange. A lot more power at this stage of the game in the hands of Vitality. Well, a lot more power when all the ults miss, of course. Caps, though, in the 1v1 should still be stronger at this point. It is an AP angle coming in here for Vetheo. The pushback is there. One more rocket. Vetheo now stepping in. Caps might die to minions. That would be embarrassing. Okay, all right.
But yeah, a little bit of a close one. Still, though, you can still see a lot of trading power back and forth. Again, though, Vitality, great fight here. They play it nice and slow. Yike tries to go in, but doesn't have the follow-up then to try and threaten anyone here. Both supports get locked up. Hansama's ult here connects onto absolutely no one. Then the apotheosis from Carzzy just means they can chase everyone down. And G2 have to run for the hills. The fact both of those ultimates from Sona and Seraphine were down means that, well, BB can't really go in to follow up on it.
Yep. Coaching staff relieved, feeling good. Malignant's now coming out for Vetheo as well. Obviously just able to spam those rockets. And wow. Please look at the graph on the bottom of your screen and understand that that was not a fight. G2 were being bullied. Vitality very clearly shot first because it doesn't look like G2 shot at all. We'll see if that changes in the fights to come, but obviously difficult fight even if you're executing flawlessly, but when so many cooldowns go awry, it's just impossible.
I think this is going to give Vitality a lot more confidence moving in towards this where, hey, look, we can actually try and look for these fights, get the vision that we need. We've got mid lane tower down. We can try and get control there and start to lean. Especially if Vetheo is able to get some sort of control or push on this bot side. You can then lean that in towards mid or even vice versa where Carzzy and Hilly having the support there from Daglas can contest mid wave and then lean into the bot side. And you've kind of seen Yike moving into this bot lane to support Caps for that potential play. I still think you're going to end up losing out on the tower with just the numbers advantage that Vitality will have on this bot lane.
Caps rooted up. Yike covering. Just going to threaten here as Hylissang now looks to follow up. Vetheo there as well. This should just be 2 quick kills. Caps has no way out of this one. Yike needs to get the hell out. Vetheo can grab that one. Malignant's powered rocket doing some work as another tower will fall. And please just look at the gold in the bottom lane. Both sides using double support items, but it is 1.7k apiece individual leads for Carzzy and Hylissang.
And even the pieces you need to get ahead is G2 not looking so hot. Carzzy, though, might have stuck around a bit too long.
Trouble. Now going to try to lock him up. He can try to use Jubilant Veil. Instantly going to cleanse, dash out to safety. They don't have the burst. They get the cleanse. They get a dash, and that's it.
TP's matched as well. Broken Blade used his to try and get down here to make sure he's able to match the TP from Vetheo, but Carzzy manages to step away. We'll still look for the reset, and G2, you can see kind of desperation here, trying to see if they can find any sort of picks, especially with Soul now in a minute and a half here for Vitality.
Yeah,
looking for
picks. Broken Blade used Q3. Now they know that they have priority access. He can't even stack Q on the minions. He's going to try to fade seal back. He can now snap back on the Soul and bound to the clone, but he's just a dead man walking. Hylissang going to pick up that one, and 5 more souls to boot.
After the performance from Vitality yesterday, this is a much cleaner pace from them. Looking good up when it comes towards fights, playing out on the map, looking for picks like this. G2 look a bit stumped as to how they want to try and continue. And as long as Vitality can keep this pressure in mid and leaning in towards the side where Vetheo can push out, they're in a good spot. Caps going to try and do what he did in their last win, which was, hey, if I can just push in sides, maybe I can scale to a point where I can be relevant.
Remember when you talked about a 50-minute game?
Yeah.
G2 might need a 50-minute game, Rob. Senna, Nilah, very, very scary right now. Again, Hylissang getting closer and closer to 100 souls. Double lethality items completed. He hits like a truck. There are no resistances on Hansama or Mikyx. If either of them get hit by any piece of CC, they will probably get one shot. And yeah, Nilah continues to scale like an absolute monster.
Yeah, I think that fight, that last Dragon fight, was kind of your moment to pop off as G2, where you look for the big wombo, but the fact they lost it means they're slowly but surely now struggling. Your 2 items, yes, for Broken Blade, but he hasn't really got the big lead that you'd want from him. And now, Vitality trying to bully them out.
Okay, Yone does do some magic damage, but not nearly enough. And so as a result, Photon's just going to build full armor.
Yeah.
That is the most high-value Randuins I have seen in a very long time. It's a similar story for Daglas. I don't think they can kill the front line. And now Vitality are descending. Package up and available for Vetheo. Eyes on G2. This might just be the final fight. Knockback already there. Pick to get things kicked off. G2 now running. 4 members still up and available. Package going in. Hansama getting torn down to the backside. Charm up onto Vetheo, but they don't have the damage to finish him off. The Corki finally going to fall down. Broken Blade off to the side, buying a bit more space for the rest of the team. Will get dropped. At the end of the day, 2-for-1 exchange in favor of Vitality.
And that's Soul. They just get to wander on back. G2 going to try and answer by pushing in mid and seeing if they can get some sort of control, maybe over the Baron area, or even just putting threat onto the tier 2, but Hilly spotting them out as they move in. Oh, that damage.
Yep. Yeah, that's a Senna. with real gold income, welcome to Season 14. She hits very hard. Caps is going to walk up, but immediately the team is going to respond. Carzzy with the Jubilant Veil. Now they got Ocean Soul, and they can turn this one right back, but it is Caps and his best friends. Caps' Angels trying to keep him alive. Can they do it? He dashes out to safety. The answer is no. Vitality cleaning house, and remember, they're so far ahead, but they built this lead. Clean fights, clean decisions across the board. DJ Sona playing one last sad tune before she goes to the graveyard.
I don't think there'll be an encore for this one. Vitality already moving over towards the Baron. They want to just completely take everything on the map, and with Ocean Soul in the pocket as well, suddenly the extra healing and shielding that G2 are getting from this double support isn't going to matter.
Damn! Look at that damage. Senna Corki, baby. Look at that poke. Vitality, they came prepared for this matchup. They have cooked a beautiful composition. They have absolutely won this episode of Chopped, and I don't think G2 have anything that they can do to stop this. Again, 50-minute game won't happen. They've got Ocean Soul. They're probably going to get Elder. G2 need to find a perfect fight or it's all going to fall apart.
I mean, this was great ult from Daglas. There's no one who really wants to try and tank it up, which sucks for G2. And then here, Vetheo goes in. So then Hansam ends up just ulting the Corki, which gets no real value, realistically. Look, yes, you get Vetheo, but it means that then Carzzy is able to finish off Broken Blade alongside Hylissang, and then you just get to move on forward. You've got 4 members here, you're healing up, and there's nothing that you can do here as G2. You needed that frontline DPS to try and come through, but with them just playing even Stevens with their own solo laners, there's just no real lead singer here.
I like it. Let's keep the music references coming.
You're the music guy, so I'm just...
Well, I mean, yeah, I like the lead singer. I appreciate you're catering to me. You're pandering to me. I wish I could pander to G2 fans, but there's not a lot to talk about in your favor. So instead, let's talk about how fantastic Vitality are playing this game. I think you could attribute a lot of this to draft, and I think Vitality is certainly having a superior read and superior execution of these double support item compositions, but have played much better in the game as well. As Daglas now looks for the setup. Daglas really commit for this one. Vetheo ready to go, and Carzzy there as well. Ultimate available for Carzzy. Big Apotheosis can take out the double support duo on the backside of the fight, make sure that no one else can get in. Vetheo could be in trouble. They will be able to burn down the Corki before the fight even starts. Maybe they can turn this back now. So far, the 1-for-1 exchange. Support for mid laner. Surely this favors G2, but Caps is already so low. He's just trying to get the recall off. Broken Blade cutting the wave, trying to stop any potential push that could come out. Quick snap back on the Soul. Doesn't have a Q3 to dash away to safety. Vitality trying to shepherd their prey away, but meanwhile, Caps already pushing in the mid lane. It is absolute chaos, and I don't think Vitality are ready for it.
No TP from Caps into the mid lane to make sure they can keep the wave up, as everyone on Vitality is just seeking Broken Blade. So they've spent so long chasing this kill. There's this fight to ensure they get a kill, but they might lose mid lane tower off the back of this. Yeah, there it goes.
Q3 trying to make it on safety. Soul and Bounty's going to have to pull back here in a second, but he has a ton of lifesteal, buying a lot more time than initially expected. Again, another Q3 coming through onto Daglas. Photon will finally finish the kill. But G2 biding their time, taking a tier 2, firing back. It doesn't get them out of a dire situation, but it keeps them in the game.
I will say in the grand scheme of things though, like, look, you got the pick on towards the support here as Vitality and eventually BB, but you end up getting Vetheo off the back of this and you get the tower. I'd say G2 going to be relatively happy. Also, they did move to that bot side as well to try and look for the tower on bot end, so might be a couple of nice plays from G2, but this is just messy from Vitality. That new wall in the top lane making it very difficult for them all to sync up. Vetheo able to get pushed away and separated from the team. And yeah, I think the Vitality coaching staff, a bit of a mixed bag of emotions there, I'll say.
Yeah, that was an emotional curve. There's a lot of great memes to be made out of coach reactions this weekend, most certainly. Baron now going to fade away. Vitality not able to do a lot with it. Still up 1,000 gold, still up 6k overall, as well as an Ocean Soul. Now keep in mind, Hansama's second item was Morello. He's had it since before the Ocean Soul, but will obviously get even more value out of it now that the enemy team does have Ocean.
I don't know, it just feels so hard for G2 to try and bring themselves back into this. Like, yes, they can make cute little plays like that where they get the mid-tier 2, but I think Vitality, they're just so much stronger when it comes towards a team fight. Elixir of Iron picked up here for Dagdas as well. They're just playing for the minute 30 when Elder Dragon spawns and look to close out the game from that one, or at least take Baron off the back of it as well and finish out the game with that.
Hilly's about to hit 120 bonus range. Man,
that's disgusting.
He's going to have 60% crit chance just from souls. Dagda. That's horrifying. Yeah. And I will say it one more time. For the people in the back who have not been here this entire cast, if Caps gets like 6 items G2 probably can win this. But 6 items very far away. He's got 3 and a bit.
I don't really see it at this stage.
Also, you still have to kill a Nilah late game, which is very hard to do.
It's also try and get through Photon and Daglas as well, who are very quickly becoming very scary prospects. Vitality now starting to threaten onto this top side. You can look at BB in the base as well, not really in position, but at least G2 are keeping the minions off the tower a little while until that Elder Dragon spawns.
And the other piece of good news is that all of this sustain stops the Corki poke from being very impactful before a fight starts. So G2 will at least get to start a fight, full health bar to full health bar, assuming that no one gets caught out. And the Wombo combo with all the CC that they have could work. If it's layered flawlessly, there are the tools to bring it back, but it's very difficult because outside of the Yone and the Vi, none of these champions are, both the Seraphine and the Sona are super linear. You're not going to see a Sona flank. If you do, that's the wackiest. That feels wrong in my mouth. Sona flank, not a phrase I ever want to hear. Sona and Seraphine just going to walk straight up, but the front to back doesn't favor G2 right now.
If you can try and cut Vitality into some sort of chokehold, though, maybe you have a chance here. Even you can see Vitality, they're not really giving them that chance, although
Elder
trying to group up a little bit.
Carzzy can solo this. Got Daglas alongside him as well. Yike gonna try to steal. 50-50, Yike gets rooted up. Can he get into the pit? Going now, and can he take it away? But no, they managed to get it. This should just be it. Vitality finding the kill on the enemy jungler. G2 now need to run. Getting cut down here. Cap's trying to run for the hills. Mikyx speeding him up. Zooming out to safety, but the rocket poke now coming in. Malignance lowering that MR. Photon on the chase with the ghost. Leaping forward. Q3 not quite going to connect. Ulti now going in from Hansama just to disengage, just to hold on to hope, but it's Daglas from the side. BB, can he turn it back? BB trying to fire, does much damage as he can. But Vetheo still standing. Hylissang on a rampage. Sniped with the ultimate and Vitality. The minion wave on the bottom side should spell the end for G2.
And what a performance from Vitality. They first locked the Senna. It looks absolutely fantastic in Hilly's eyes. And then this game as well. Great performance on taking it slow, not giving an inch over to G2. And now the towers are falling, and G2 are going with them.
There is not enough room left on the map for G2 to play their composition optimally. Nilah gonna move in, 1-man Apotheosis, all that you need. Dragon coming down from the sky, bringing fiery retribution for Vitality there. G2 herded back into their fountain, the last place that they're safe. They might not even be safe there. Look at that center range, baby Hilly! Having a hell of a time. Vitality moving up to 3-3.
That is an incredibly impressive performance from Vitality and putting G2 to 4-2, which means that it's BDS that is sitting at the top of the table right now. Very much looking like we did at the start of last year as well, if I had, but incredible performance
We're getting roasted in the threads for it. Yeah. We should have brought back BDS tier, but it's not BDS's day, it's Vitality's day. Fantastic game, the strategy working to perfection, and again, we talk about how powerful this is and it will get nerfed, it will get taken away. But in a short season where there are only 9 games, you need to come ready with these strategies to get every single win that you can, and Vitality were more prepared on the day. It looked fantastic. You can vote for your key player of the game at LEC on X. Daglas, Vetheo, Hylissang, all good choices.
Yeah, all fantastic choices, but I don't know, that was... I'm actually kind of gobsmacked just how well Vitality played after what was a very, very messy game yesterday, to come back in today and go, hey, look, we're going to just wipe the slate clean. We're going to play it slow. We're going to play it calculated. We're not going to overextend. We're not going to give any sort of opportunities for G2 to play to the strengths of their composition. Carzzy even looking slightly confused on stage, but great stuff. And I mean, if this is the Vitality that we're going to get to see more regularly, I'm all down for it. That was sick.
Yeah, 9 change pace from yesterday. They've shown us the chaos. They've shown us something clean. It's all really come together for them. Kind words shared from support staff across the board, and notably so, we are gearing up for an interview with Carzzy. And we finally got to see Senna Nilah Rob. It was as oppressive and obnoxious as we dreamed. And that was before double support on him, but it's even stronger now.
If only we weren't playing Pal World, we'd actually be able to abuse
true.
this. You know?
But sadly, there's only room for one in my heart right now, and it's fake Pokemon. And League of Legends, for League of Legends, of course. As we gear up, as we get ready, yeah, just again, shout out to Vitality. Their games have all been chaotic, but I'm starting to believe, and you can understand why. For now, though, let's send it over to Carzzy on stage.
Thank you very much, guys. Carzzy, Carzzy, thank you for joining me. Congrats on a fantastic 3-0 weekend. You came back into the LEC with Fatality 0-3. Ouch, but turning it around, how does it feel?
Thank you very much. So it feels good because the first week I thought it's doomed. No, I don't think that, but it was looking very rough. But then we had a really good week of practice, and the 3 losses in a row didn't affect anyone's mental, and everyone worked really hard. So I am happy we went 3-0 because I think we deserved it this week after how we practiced.
Absolutely, and you guys seem to have eased yourselves in it. It was Rogue, it was KC that you beat, but now G2. It's becoming a little bit more real that your team is gelling together and you guys are getting across these growing pains of the first week. Now, of course, you're still playing with Hylissang as a duo, and I want to ask you, who is the one persuading Hylissang to play non-engaging supports?
I mean, it was me, basically.
You're the culprit? Okay.
Yeah, I wanted Hylissang to play Senna, because everyone always says he cannot play rank champs. And I like playing supportive champs as well, so I was really happy when he played like this on Senna.
Isn't it a little bit nicer when you're playing the carry to have a very healing, supportive support behind you, just shielding you and buffing you?
I mean, I don't need it every game. I was happy to play Nilah this game and just like peel or look for some engages.
Carzzy. We love Jankos. Your approach versus G2 was a little bit weird. G2 has been having very, I want to say, quakey early games. And you guys seem to have taken the long way around. You went for scaling, you went for team fights, you went for late game. How come that was the approach versus G2?
I mean, I think it was both very, very scaling. Like, both team comps were basically, we were all AFK and then just fight. It's kind of disgusting, but it's just how it is right now. I think that Senna Nilah is just really OP in this because we share XP, so we are over-leveled in comparison to the other 2 supports. I think we could have punished them a little bit more in lane, but it was fine in the end.
It worked really well for you guys. You played so well. Now, I want to ask you a quick, cheeky question behind us. It's going to be Team Heretics, versus KC. Do you believe that KC can grab their first win? No pressure. No pressure at all.
I want KC to win so my boy Upset can get his first win.
Thank you very much, Carzzy. Congrats again. Now, as we go to break, we have some news from Lazy Bear Games, the studio that brought you Graveyard Keeper. Jump into Bandle Tale, a League of Legends story set in the magical world of Bandle City, home of the furry and fun-loving Yordles. Make sure to get your pre-order Bandle Tale, a League of Legends story, to receive the Bandle Scout Recon Pack, a pre-order exclusive that includes a hat, a poro outfit, a pathway effect, a backpack home exterior color, and a cookbook recipe. For more, here's the trailer.
full range. If you do not hit a target, he's now going to try to get out. Wants to sack Q3 up. Daglas is just going to go back here, but will get cut down. First blood for the side of Vitality, and the latest first blood. Just going to threaten here as Hylissang now looks to follow up. Vetheo there as well. This should just be 2 quick kills. Caps has no way out of this one. Yike needs to get the hell out.
Fight them.
Kill White. First target.
Nice. Senna fresh.
We win. Seraphine on flash. Nice.
Red Bull gives you wings.